Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and hit on a feeling I think we've all wrestled with at some point. You know exactly the one I'm talking about. That super frustrating, stagnant feeling where you're working incredibly hard, you're doing all the right things, but you get to the end of the year and your income is exactly the same as when you started. You're basically just 12 months older and, well, 12 months more tired. If you've been sitting there hoping for some massive financial breakthrough that just never seems to show up, the source text we're breaking down today offers a really fascinating perspective. It's called The Divine Blueprint for Financial Increase, and its core argument is that income growth isn't just some mysterious lottery you win. It's actually a highly structured process. So the material argues that increase is absolutely not random. It follows a very definable ladder of skill. Today we're going to break down these key areas: the rules of increase, mastering your current role, planting seeds where you are, solving bigger problems, the power of asking, and finally, multiplying through others. Let's get right into it. Starting off with Section 1, the rules of increase. Now, the foundational thesis of this text is pretty interesting. It states that God is actually not against your increase at all, but, and this is a big but, increase has rules. The author really emphasizes the contrast between a passive myth and an active reality. Instead of falling into the trap of just sitting around praying for more money to fall from the sky, the biblical blueprint is actually all about positioning yourself for more by obeying specific, practical rules. It's really the difference between waiting around for a handout and getting to work building a ladder. That brings us to Section 2, master your current role. The author directly challenges this common idea of just kind of sleepwalking through your current job while you wait around for a promotion. Take Daniel from the Old Testament as an example. The text points out a specific Aramaic word used to describe him, yatir. It literally means surpassing, superior, or beyond. Because Daniel operated with just absolute excellence in his day-to-day role, his promotion became totally inevitable. I mean, the king was planning to promote him before Daniel even said a word or lobbied for the job. The big takeaway here is that increase is given to folks who have already proven themselves faithful with the smaller version of it. So, the crucial point is that you have to shift your mindset. The text puts it this way, which is a bit of a tough pill to swallow. Stop asking for a bigger room when you aren't even cleaning the messy one you currently have. Ouch, right? Instead, you need to ask yourself, what would make you 10 times more valuable in your current role, starting this Monday morning? How do you actually move from being just a replaceable employee to a completely indispensable asset? Moving right along to Section 3, plant seeds where you are. A huge trap a lot of us fall into is waiting for the perfect new city or the perfect new season to finally start building wealth. But look at the story of Isaac in Genesis 26. There was a massive famine, and literally everyone else was packing up and fleeing to Egypt. But Isaac stayed put. He planted seeds right there in the dry dirt exactly where he was, and in that very same year, he reaped a 100-fold harvest. The author's point is blunt but true. You simply cannot pray for a harvest if you haven't bothered to put any seed in the ground. So how does that actually translate to us today? Well, the text suggests taking the exact same skill that pays your 9-to-5 salary and planting it as a seed after 6 p.m. If you're a coder, that means picking up freelance projects. A teacher could do some tutoring, a nurse could start consulting, or a graphic designer could list their services on Fiverr. The seed is literally already in your hand. The author insists you just need to plant it in a secondary field and watch it grow. All right, Section 4, solve bigger problems. If you want to scale your income, you absolutely have to scale the complexity of the problems you're solving. The market doesn't pay for effort, it pays for the removal of problems. The text uses this great example. A plumber who just unclogs residential drains gets a basic 1x wage. But if that same plumber learns to fix massive commercial systems, boom, 3x wage. And if they build a team to handle the plumbing for entire skyscrapers, that's a 10x wage. It's the exact same trade, but the income scales strictly by increasing the size of the problem. It's just like Joseph in Genesis, who went from being a prisoner to second in command of Egypt because he solved a massive problem for Pharaoh that literally nobody else could touch. Instead of constantly asking, how do I make more money? The text challenges us to ask a far more powerful question. Whose problem can I solve? Seriously, look at the market around you. What's breaking? What's really hard to do? Or what's just incredibly annoying that people will gladly hand over money to have fixed? According to the author, identifying that is your personal goldmine. Stepping up to Section 5, the power of asking. This is the one step almost everybody avoids. People love to politely call their fear humility. But when you look at biblical figures, they were definitely not passive. Queen Esther walked totally uninvited into the king's court to ask for her people. Daniel boldly proposed an alternative test to his superiors, and Jacob, as quoted right here in Genesis, aggressively and super clearly negotiated his exact wages with his father-in-law Laban. They didn't just kneel down and hope for the best. They stood up and they asked. So what's the highly practical takeaway here? It's that the numbers literally do not move until your mouth does. Yes, it's terrifying for sure, but the source advises you to go ahead and book a meeting this week. Don't go in there begging or apologizing. Bring the data. Bring a physical one-page document detailing your direct impact over the last 12 months and open your mouth to ask for that raise or confidently increase your freelance rates. And finally, Section 6, multiply through others. We've reached the very top of the ladder where income actually transforms from a simple wage into compounding wealth. Notice the clear contrast between a wage mentality and a wealth mentality. The text highlights the story of Moses, who was totally burning himself out trying to personally judge every single tiny dispute for the entire nation. His father-in-law, Jethro, basically pulled him aside and told him to select capable men to carry the load. By delegating, Moses shattered that hard ceiling of his own 24-hour day. The core mathematical strategy here is all about leverage. Listen to this. If there is a task eating up your time that you could pay someone $10 an hour to do, you need to outsource it. Why? So you can free yourself up to focus completely on the highly specialized work that earns you $100 an hour. That shift right there is exactly where compounding wealth begins. The text highlights that true biblical wealth is always about systems and scale. Think about the famous Proverbs 31 woman. She wasn't just working hard by herself. She had servants, she bought fields, she wholesaled goods. And King Solomon? He directed 180,000 workers to build the temple. He managed the massive system, but he didn't physically lift a single stone himself. To build wealth, you have to multiply through others, not just squeeze out more of your own exhausted effort. So just to recap the whole shebang real quick, the source lays out these 5 highly actionable steps of discipline. Master your current roles so promotion is just totally inevitable. Plant seeds where you are by using your existing skills on the side. Scale your income by stepping up to solve bigger, more complex problems. Defeat that timidity, open your mouth, and actually ask for the increase. And finally, multiply your capacity through others to start building real compounding wealth. The author wraps up the ultimate point with this verse from Deuteronomy. Notice how it specifically says the ability to produce wealth. The text emphasizes that you are not capped by your current circumstances. Not at all. You already possess the raw materials, the capacity, the wisdom, the skill to produce wealth. But having an ability is completely useless if it just sits there gathering dust. It has to be actively picked up and utilized. I want to leave you with a final provocative thought straight from the text. Look back at those 5 steps we just went over. Which one of them makes your stomach drop just a little bit? Which one scares you the most? The author argues that the step that scares you the most is the exact one you are supposed to take next. So, what's your excuse for not taking it tomorrow morning?